Hello, and welcome to the 217th episode of Gaming Talk. On this episode, I'm going to be discussing and giving my thoughts on my first FMV game, Nightbook. Remember, there will be spoilers, so let's get into this. Nightbook is something that I don't really know how to quickly describe. It's not a particularly great experience, but it's got a bit of interesting stuff going on. The best way of thinking of it is like a Telltale game without the ability to control any of the characters, but the decisions still matter and those choices still affect the outcome of the story. It's a very short story, as I think my first playthrough took a little over an hour. Now, a few other reviews of this game I have watched all give the baseline story to be very similar to the description of the game on most online storefronts. The reality is that the baseline of the story depends on one choice you make in the game, and that is the choice of which call do you take. You have a choice between a business call or a call between a kid and his mom. If you choose a business call, the baseline of the story becomes you unknowingly unleash a spirit in your house upon reading a page from a book written in an ancient language. Should you choose the call between Max and his mom, the story becomes a spirit unknowingly gets unleashed in your house after Max reads a book written in an ancient language. I'm going to be honest, it feels really convenient for the plot of the game that both the main character and Max conveniently know this ancient language, because main character studies it and Max was taught it by main character lady. The game kind of starts off weird too, because you see the dad just kind of acting weird in his weirdly decorated room with a bunch of papers with drawings of something on them. Our main character is going through interpreter training, is pregnant, and her husband is conveniently away doing business stuff in a place that he shouldn't be. Thing is, up until the choice between Max's call and the business call, none of the choices really seem to matter, even the one involving whether or not to lock the dad in the room, because you have several chances to do that. Even with having points that do branch off with either choice of call, there are moments where things kind of just come back to a certain scene. I do like that if you pick the right options, the two calls are actually connected. When I did the business call, you question how Mr. Vito came in possession of the book. Then, originally, when I did the call with Max and his mom, you learn that Max Vito, just grabbed the book without his dad's knowledge, and I'm actually glad that came up, because I was questioning how both Max and his dad have the same book, but they cleared it up. My biggest problem with this game is that it is far too short, no matter which ending you achieve. I say this because a lot of the time I get an ending that leaves me with more questions because you don't get the aftermath of anything. Something akin to all of the endings is that the spirit is mad about the development on some island that has some natives on it. In either story, main character becomes the vessel for the spirit. I remember that in the first ending I got, MC gets possessed by the spirit, and it records a video saying, "Stop the development, leave the island, or else it'll be bad for the workers," under main character's husband, and then credits. I only achieved like 6 endings or so out of the 15, but it felt that way every time. You don't get to see what happens after that. I have to say though, my favorite ending, which is achievable through 2 methods, is when main character gets the book and you choose to destroy it. Like, she walks away from the front door, right, out of frame, and you see this black stuff burst out of the mail slot. Main character lights up the book in a cooking pot, which causes a green flame, and the black stuff like tries to reach her, but then poofs away, and my god, the CGI on the black stuff is so bad. It made me laugh when it happened. You know, main character then gets up, goes back to her PC to see that even though she defeated the spirit, her dad still died. There's an ending where she sacrifices her husband, which was so anticlimactic because we just hear a bunch of noises as the camera flickers and cuts between main character watching, and then his camera goes black and then credits. I think the really bad ending is where the black stuff holds main character by the throat for way too long, mind you. And then it goes down into her body, and then a few seconds later she sits down, reaches down there to find blood, and realizes the black stuff killed her unborn child. Main character screams, and then credits. I just want to say that I only got 6 endings. So far, this one is the only ending to leverage main character being pregnant. Otherwise, it serves no purpose in any of this. But again, there's no aftermath that we get to see, and that bothers me. Main character screams when the dad gets killed or when the unborn baby is killed, but not when she willingly sacrifices her own husband to the spirit. That ending really needed some kind of aftermath because now she's a single mother, and seeing that aftermath in some form would have been far more interesting than most of this game is. Again, biggest problem is that things end so quick and abruptly when they needed to breathe and have some kind of extra stuff after these endings happen. Overall, for my first FMV game, it's not a terrible one, but I'm definitely glad I didn't pay for the game. Wink. And I don't think I'd pay for the current, at the time of writing this review, sale price of like $2.30 or so. The so-called horror is so bad it's not even scary. When they do try to be scary, it just feels forced. It's like the moment, I forget which ending this is tied to, where there's like a painting behind her in her office that at one point just kind of goes like askew, like, you know, like it falls partially, and that painting would not make that much sound, you know, just kind of like like going at an angle like that suddenly. But, you know, they want it to be scary, so when the painting does that, they add a really big BUM when it does that, and it's like, no. Now you're just trying to force a jump scare. Nightbook is just an average game that I don't think I could really recommend. But that's gonna do it, so if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.